Hi, I'm Kim Gallow, Associate Athletic Director for Operations and Capital Projects, as well as a sports supervisor for indoor volleyball. We're here to learn more about our new coach, Coach Ashley Preston. Welcome, and we'll just have a casual conversation, right?
Yep.
Go ahead, introduce yourself. Tell us about yourself.
So my name is Ashley Preston. I'm the head volleyball coach here at the University of New Orleans. Originally from Las Vegas, Nevada. Went to a historically black college, Morgan State University, and then found my love and my passion for coaching right outside of there.
Awesome. So you mentioned finding your love for coaching. So tell us a little bit about your inspirations. Anyone who was influential in this process or who encouraged you to get into the coaching profession?
Yeah, so I didn't start volleyball until the 10th grade. And it just happened to be, I was sitting with a friend and she had these shoes and I'm like, where are you going? And she said, I'm going to try out for volleyball. And I was like, oh, absolutely not. They have to wear the small shorts. I'm a basketball player. I don't wear those. And she was like, just come and try it. And so tried, got on JV, and then got moved up from JV to varsity. And Bob Kelly is one of those inspirations. He's the one that said, I think you'd be good at volleyball. And then it became my whole world after that. So, and then also to Ramona Riley Bozier, she gave me my first opportunity to be a coach.
Awesome.
I was her assistant right outside of college. And to be all honest, I wanted to stay for a boy. So I needed a plan because I couldn't tell my grandfather that I was staying for a boy. And so I just asked her and I was like, Coach, can I be your GA? And she was like, no, but you can be my assistant because I think you have great leadership skills. So 2 years spent with her, and then also got my master's. So I have a master's in publication design. That's why I love designing and I love creating culture. And so and then went to Loyola Maryland University, coached there for a part-time job. So I'm so thankful for my mother because she allowed me to pursue my dreams and helped me with that because it was part-time money.
Right.
And so learning from Scott Pennywell too. And then just from there, I became a head coach at 25 at Spelman College in Atlanta, Georgia. And then got the opportunity to go to Coppin State University and really experienced Division I and all that it was cracked up to be. And then from there, Cal State Fullerton, and then now I'm here.
Awesome. And we're super excited to have her join our family. Unexpectedly, but we're here, and I mean we're just ready to get into the season. And tell us a little bit about your time at Fullerton in terms of you being the Big West Co-Coach of the Year in 2019. And you mentioned having this journey and starting at 25, being a head coach, which is amazing. It's impeccable. So can you tell us about just that experience? So where were you when you found out? What was your initial thought?
2019 was such a year that I understood without my struggle, I would have never known my strength. And so we went through a whole rebuild of the culture in the spring. And I hired 2 new assistants, and I told them, I was like, I want to make this the best experience possible for these young women. And I really want to learn from my mistakes and grow. And they onboarded, the whole team also was supportive in this, of creating a different story for Fullerton volleyball. And so we were collaborative with that process. And then, I removed myself from the wins and losses. I was just like, I just want them to have the best experience possible. And I just want to be the best coach for them I could possibly be.
Right.
And once I did that, I was sleeping actually, and my friend called me and he was like, Greg Paulus called me and he was like, oh, so you're big timing me? You don't pick up your phone? I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, dude, you don't know? I get to tell you? He's like, you were co-coach of the year. And I was like, no way, Robin at Hawaii. No, she is the one, she's top 10. Are you crazy? And he's like, yes, Ashley, go look at it. And I was like, what? And then to get a text from Robin Emo, was phenomenal. And she was like, I'm so proud of you. And I was like, you deserve this. She goes, no, we're both building teams and building culture as women. And so I'm so proud of you as well. So just to get that influx of that recognition from my colleagues in the conference as it relates to you're doing a good job, because for so long it was stormy. And to see the bright side of a program and seeing that take flight. And I'm just so excited for their future too, how it grows from there.
So you mentioned a great point about empowering and building women, right? And so that's one thing at UNO we've prided ourselves, and we're growing to really enforce and ensure that we're recognizing women in sport. So how have you been able to use these accolades and these opportunities and being such a young coach early on and pour that in, that culture, that mindset, that perspective into your teams, and how do you plan to do that here at UNO?
Yeah, it starts with culture. It starts with being your sister's keeper. And so we had a philosophy at Fullerton of being relational, responsible, and respectful.
Right.
And so here, after our initial meeting on Zoom, I said, what do you want the program to look like? And then I take that and then use my publication design degree and put together the culture that breathes life into what the young women want for themselves here. And also too, I've taken the accolades and things like that and been an authentic leader now, an empathetic leader, and I do talk about my struggle so that all coaches go through it. We just don't talk about it. We hear so many times of talking about the successes, but we also have to acknowledge the losses.
Absolutely.
And learn from it and grow, you know? So just being someone that's very candid and very open, but have boundaries as it relates to my story so that others feel comfortable to share, especially coaches of color. And so, because there's not a lot of us in volleyball and we all have similar stories. And so if we're able to help each other see that the opportunity for growth is what it is. It's not you failed, it's an opportunity to grow.
Right,
So.
that's a good point. And as we think about 2020 and just the things that were encountered in sport specifically, what are some things that you learned in 2020 that allowed you to now progress into this position, but also kind of take that accolade from 2019 and say, okay, I get it, I see it, people recognize the work that I'm doing. Now it's time to hone in and use that 2020 vision, as we like to say, and apply that to what's next. So what are some things that you've learned in 2020 that have allowed you to grow and flourish as a coach?
Yeah, that I'm more than just a coach.
Right.
Like I'm Ashley Preston.
Right.
So yes, my job title says head coach, but I'm a leader. And it really made me understand my vision and purpose. And when the court is removed and when the wins and losses are removed from a coach, then how do you show up? Who are you?
Right.
So my vision is to create a dope culture. My purpose is to help women be the heroes of their own story. And now it's changed to helping women and BIPOCs be the hero of their own story. Because I've learned so much that leadership is so important. An emotional, intelligent leader is important. And doing the work, and so reading and honing your craft. It's not like you're a head coach and then you've arrived and you made it, now you stop learning.
Right.
And so there's this quote, and I know I'm going to mess it up, but there's this quote that says like, either a plant is growing or it's dying. So you have to water it in order for growth.
Right.
And I love that quote because it's so true. And we have to always forever capitalize on our skills, not just on the court, but as a leader and as a person.
Right.
So
that's good. And throughout that process in 2020, we've learned the benefit of virtual interactions, right? And so how have you been able to tap into your network to learn these things about pouring into other women or to others in sports? So what are some resources that you've used and utilized to grow and to evolve after 2020 going into a new season?
Oh my gosh, so many resources. So like I said, I love reading. Now, I wasn't always a reader. My sister got on me so much. She's like, I just wish you would listen to me when I say things the first time. But Dare to Lead, Brene Brown is an amazing book. John Gordon, just to get that positivity boost.
Yeah.
All of his books are great. I am now reading Winning Well, and it's by a woman, because a lot of my books that I've read have all been written by men. And I'm like, I want to do better. I want to read books from women about leadership. And so that's one. I was actually listening to it on Audible as I was driving into work. And it just teaches you how to manage people. And that's really what you have to really learn, is how to manage.
Right.
And in 2020, really, it also helped on these Zoom calls and stuff like that to interact with people. Like, that's how I met you, you know what I mean? And so that, I think that we can take some of those things and still utilize them moving forward. I think we also showed that we can shift, and productivity and working can also look different, but still be productive. And so I want to also utilize still some of those skills with my young women here. And I acknowledge and understand the presence is important, but you can also have a presence on a Zoom call or on a FaceTime call and allow people to be in their space and talk, because sometimes they're more comfortable with that than in an office setting and things like that. So yeah, those are the small things I hope to utilize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as you start to think about coaching style and coming into a program that is already essentially established and we're right around the corner from our season, what is your coaching style? How do you plan to get that buy-in and to really interact with our student leaders and our student athletes? And what are some things that you're looking forward to as you continue to grow with them?
My former player, Elizabeth Schuster, said this to a recruit. She was like, Coach P hypes you up, but then calms you down. And I laughed because I was like, that's true. She was like, she'll be your biggest hype man, tell you you're capable and deserving, but also too, at times she'll be like, it's just volleyball, y'all. It's just volleyball. And so that is a great indication of me. I have like what they used to say, Coach P isms. So as it relates to things, they know when I'm upset, they say I'm very like, my hands will go like this, and just picking up on small cues. That's how you get to know my coaching style. I communicate a lot. I also listen more and I ask more questions. And also just being clear and kind. And I think that's so important. And also too, just setting expectations, measuring those expectations, and then allowing a person to not meet it and understand that failure isn't final. So I want to create a culture where you can make mistakes, but what you cannot do is not learn from them. So mistakes are okay. We're going to fail. But it's what do you do after the failure?
That's important. And as we think about identity outside of sport, I think that's a great indication that we have to continue to pour into our athletes from that perspective and ensure that they understand the why. We talked about throughout this process, ensuring that we're letting them know our expectations, but also being able to articulate the why and how does it relate to them outside of sport, I think is the biggest indication that we're doing our jobs in athletics. So tell us a little bit about what our privateer fans can look forward to throughout this season.
A cohesive unit, a lot of talking, cheering,
Good.
A lot of that. And like I said, communication, as it relates to the culture of the past, I was like, you can be as goofy as you want, you can be as quiet as you want, but not on the court. You gotta talk on the court. And just seeing our bench be lit, that's what I always say. I love having benches like basketball, men's basketball, and March Madness. And I love that for our young women too. So just you're going to see the cheers and things like that, because I allow them to pick their cheers for each of the players, all of that stuff. So. And just really just having a foundation that's built on process, not outcome. So just really focused on the process. And it's a John Gordon quote and Mike Smith from You Win in the Locker Room First, and it says, focus on the root to get the best fruit. And that's constant. And so if you are behind me as fans, you're gonna hear that. Focus on the process, not the outcome. It also calms me down as a coach. So I'm like, focus on the process, Coach P, you know? And so just to make sure that the process that we're doing in practice permeates once a match happens. And so that's the greatest thing. That's what I get excited about. I'm like, yes, you worked on this all week and you finally did it. And so yeah.
That's awesome. So you were involved in a series called More Than a Moment. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience and what you either learned or what you were able to share through that platform?
Yeah, More Than a Moment was a part of the Big West Conference, and they asked if I could be a part of it. It was great, and it was great to get my story out there as it relates to being a Black woman in volleyball. And also articulating geographically. Like, I've lived in Vegas. I was born in California. I went to a HBCU and I went to Atlanta, so I worked in a very urban city, and then transitioning back to Coppin, and then going to California, which is different, you know? And so learning everybody regionally of how different demographic is and being able to articulate that. And just, there's so many times that stories are untold. And I love that the Big West had that opportunity for us to share our stories and us to share our struggles, and in hopes to have a better future for our students.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's awesome. So since you're now here in New Orleans, what are some things that you've either noticed that you love, or things, any restaurants, any places that you've tried? What are the first impressions of our city?
Yeah, one of my favorite restaurants, I've been here, so one of my favorite restaurants here is Cochan.
Okay, I've been there.
Yeah, I love Cochan. It's like, it's so good. But also too, my cousin, she is actually a nurse in the ICU here in New Orleans, and she said that when she first moved here, that someone told her that New Orleans is an enchanted city. And I was like, yes, that's really true. Awesome. And so I just love the culture here, and I love the richness of it. And people are so nice. Everybody's so nice. Like, and the accents, oh my gosh, I love accents. And so just being around that and like smiling, and I know people are like, where are you from? And I'm like, I don't have an accent. Like, but just experiencing that. I haven't seen, the saying is true, it never rains in Southern California. And so seeing rain, I'm like, wait, it rains for like 2 minutes really hard and then stops. Yeah.
Welcome to the city.
Yeah, so it's just been fun exploring and getting around, and then seeing my grandmother is originally from Shreveport, Louisiana. So I have family in Baton Rouge, and like I said, my cousin's here in Louisiana. So seeing those distant cousins and things like that have been fun too.
Good. Well, we're happy to have you. The Parmentier family is super excited. Our athletes are ready to return, and so we're ready to get this season started. So thank you for one, this interview, and two, for joining our family. We appreciate you, and we're excited to see what you're going to bring to the table for us.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.